Hello gang, I'm Colonel Failure and this is the Colonel Reduced for May 2019. So yes, back again for May. I had to double check myself there because I wasn't entirely sure it was May, but then it occurred to me that actually I haven't done May's Reduced yet, and it's the 10th. Sorry about that. Yeah, holiday threw me out of whack, and many people have said, I hope you had a nice holiday, and I did. Thank you. It was absolutely splendid. We got incredibly lucky with weather. We went to Rhodes in Greece and just kicked it by a pool in the sunshine. I did quite a lot of kind of thought exploding all over paper while herself quaffed cocktails and read books. It was really rather splendid. And in fact, it is the longest holiday I've had possibly ever. And as such, it was magnificent. The downside, of course, is I've come back and I've gone like, right, back to work. So I've had to kind of re-jumpstart my video producing, but I feel like I'm on the cusp of getting back to it. Now then, I haven't written an agenda for today. Usually I do because it keeps me focused, but I'm pretty sure I can cover it off in just off the top of my head. That's a stupid idea. Anyway, one of the things that I did... No, hold on. I'll back up because one of the things I did is kind of the meat and bones of today's presentation. Let's talk about April. April's numbers were horrible by comparison to the rest of the year so far. Yep, the surge of growth is done and dusted. That's fine. I was expecting that to happen. Yeah, I mean the numbers are still fine, but we're back to the gentle growth rather than the exciting growth that was happening beforehand. Now, obviously, this matters to me a great deal because my goal is to get into this gig full time. You know that I've mentioned it every flipping month, but at the moment, I'm only working for people. I'm only working for them 3 days a week. So being able to gradually shift my time usage over to bigger and bolder and better things is kind of important. And you'd go like, well, come on, shouldn't we see more videos now you've got 2 days a week to dedicate to them? And I go, well, yeah, well, videos aren't the only thing I'm working on. And I'm going to tell you about both. This isn't just some kind of teasing rubbish that I've got going on. Right, what I done on my holidays. So, on my holidays, as you know, I come up with fiendish schemes and plans and notions on a very regular basis, and I took the time to actually put pen to paper and kind of write them down and get some thoughts out of my head and put them in a place where you can actually just look at it and kind of go, yeah, and then do a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. And I came up with a set of principles that I posted probably last week, maybe the week before, about how I want to kind of evolve the way that my channel works. Part of the reason that April's numbers were a little lackluster was there wasn't anything new in there. It was ongoing series, and Soviet Republic is fine. Obviously, the other reason April was pretty poor is because I was away for 2 weeks of it. That would do it. Soviet Republic is doing great, and I've got no intention of giving that the heave-ho in the short term. Transport Fever is Transport Fever. Obviously, Transport Fever 2 was announced. Yes, obviously, I'm going to cover it. I'm waiting for something before I do any kind of a drill down, but I've been told I'm going to have to wait until next month. Oh, I wonder why. I'm going to have to wait till next month. Oh, what happens in June every year? Oh, I couldn't possibly begin to. Yeah, okay. So I'm being kept waiting a little bit because they want to get it a little bit closer to E3. That's fair enough. Yeah, it's something I'm doing with the devs, but they want to wait until a little bit closer to E3 before they get me what I want. I'm not going to tell you anything more than that. So where was I? Yes, so yeah, getting the ideas on a piece of paper is an incredibly valuable thing to do. So Soviet Republic and Transport Fever, they're a given. They drive solid view numbers, and it's those view numbers that are kind of the engine for my channel, and its ongoing growth. The YouTube algorithm, which I speak about on a regular basis, what it looks for is channels that generate a lot of minutes viewed. Now, with those two series, I generate a healthy number of minutes viewed, and then it uplifts based on minutes viewed. I don't know if that's an uplift hand signal or not, but I'm using it anyway. It uplifts based on the number of minutes viewed. So if your minutes viewed suddenly start surging upwards, then it will spread the awareness of the general viewing public. It will spread it a little bit further. So you do kind of get this reciprocal cycle going, where because you're being successful, you're being given the opportunity to be more successful, which makes you more successful, and so on. And that effect will last for a couple of weeks off the strength of one or two videos. And we saw that from kind of late January through the whole of March. That's the effect that was applied to my channel, is that I hit a kind of a hot streak there of videos that people wanted to watch, and therefore it kind of reinforced itself, and we built up and up. When I'd finished with all of that new stuff, and I was into the kind of the grind of ongoing series, then it's eased back off again, and that's to be expected. So one of the things that I did first when I was, one of the things I did last, actually, it was after kind of dumping ideas onto paper. And I always do. I make notes on paper when I'm just thinking about stuff, because I find that drawing arrows all over the place and scribbling out and all of the rest of it, it's all part of the, I'm going to say, creative process. But it's in my case, it's part of the thought unburdening process. I get bogged down by ideas, and unless I do something with them, they're forever an idea. Slight segue is prior to much of my YouTubery, I would occasionally get a real bee in my bonnet about a particular hobby or a particular something or other. So I'd go out and buy all the kit, and then my desire for it would disappear. And that's the burden of ideas, is unless you do something with it, then nothing comes of it. Because now I've got the tick in the box of, yes, I've got that thing now. Good. I can go do that anytime I please. And then you can just relax about it. I know it's weird and it wastes an awful lot of money, but nonetheless, it's a system I have seen through myself, through my own eyes, I've seen on a regular basis. And it kind of, that's how to get rid of an idea, is do some action on it. So getting those ideas onto paper was incredibly useful, but the kind of the big takeaway that I got at the end was the new revised kind of schedule scheme. And as much as I have new revised ideas on a routine basis, I'm actually going to push this one through because it makes a lot of sense. So firstly, don't get bogged down into any more than 2 series. Having Transport Fever, Soviet Republic, Factory Town and Satisfactory, all with ongoing series at the same time, has caused my channel to stagnate. If they were all getting gangbusters views, then that would be different. But the viewing public for Transport Fever is it's stable but declining. That's inevitable for a game of its age. The viewing public for Soviet Republic is past its peak. So at launch, it hit a good number of people, which is why my series did quite well. But since then, it's dropping off, and it's now largely just the people who are interested in it. It will now continue to decline until the next Steam sale, where if the devs put it into the sale, it'll get a little bump up, and then it will continue to decline until it hits the end of early access and it hits full release. And then it'll get a nice big bump, and there'll be some more people do big series on it, and then that's all she wrote. So it's not going to get higher than it is now, unless I come up with some kind of magic formula to make my stuff more interesting and to actually reach people beyond those who are interested in the game itself. I don't have that magic formula, not at the moment. I'm going to come back to magic formulas in a minute. So 2 series at most, and those 2 series I can really only afford to do between 2 to 3 episodes of each one per week. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything to really accelerate the channel forwards. And when it comes down to it, the thing that really works, or what's paying off for me in terms of a growth situation, is it's my take on things that is driving things forward far more than the game. I am not beholden to one game for ongoing growth. I could come up with anything and get a reasonable number of views off it and generate a reasonable amount of kind of people who want to see more based on my haphazard, guesswork based, occasionally erudite, thoughtful, and somewhat funny approach to playing games. I should really distill that. If someone at some point is going to go, well, describe your channel. I go, so I make, game videos. And at least 75% of every video is me going, and then. And some people seem to like that. Hey, it's a format. But yes, so I want to break down 2 video series per week, and then everything else should be actively focused on driving things further forward. Now, I'm doing 2 approaches to that at the same time. So think of those 2 series. If you haven't read the piece, it'll be like a couple of posts down. You should have access to it. The A series and the B series. The A series is the one that is doing the most good for the channel at the moment in terms of both being a recurring service and generating minutes viewed. And it's really neck and neck between Transport Fever and Soviet Republic. The B series is the other one, and that too should be driving a significant number of view minutes and a significant amount of interest, because otherwise, why am I doing it? And it should be fed into the wood chipper. So that's the AB. Now, then you've got the C series. Now, the C series is an idea that I've been kicking around for a while, and you've seen some C series type stuff in the past. Basically, a C series, which I don't want to say again. There's a lot of hard S's going on in there. It's highly edited, but with the emphasis is on the humour of the situation, and but it's a short series. Now, historically, I've done this as kind of one-offs. If you consider, I'm going to go to Descenders, obviously. Wolfpack was great as a one-off. Arguably, it was fun enough that it deserves a second throw. What else would I put in there? The Software Tycoon business thing, Software Inc., the first couple of episodes of that. They're getting close to the level of editing and basically just concise and to the point in a get the entertainment into the eyeballs of the viewer quickly while keeping a narrative within a single episode running. And where I want to go with that is I want to make it a multi-part endeavour where I do 1 per week. And then when you've done 4, you're done. Or when you've done 3, that's it. That's the show. The show is over. One-shots don't do me much good. Well, they do and they don't. One-shots will grab new people coming in, people who are interested and kind of go, oh, I like this guy's tone of voice, so I'll stick around. And you kind of go, great, good, thank you, marvellous. The one-shots are absolutely fab for that, but you then don't put up a second piece of video that turns that one-shot viewer into a recurring viewer. So you do get some people who will turn up and subscribe on a whim from the first video. Well, it's hardly a whim. They sense the excellence and decide to sign up there and then. But you don't then reinforce that relationship and turn them into what I call a Type 2 viewer. All right, I'll do it again. Type 1 viewers turn up and watch your stuff because of the game you're playing. Type 2 viewers turn up and watch your stuff because you're the one playing it. And you need a couple of videos for people to see before they convince themselves to become a Type 2, or they convert into a Type 2. You folks are Type 3. They like it so much they decide to kick in a couple of quid every month in order to keep it going and hopefully make it flourish. You are keeping it going and making it flourish. So well done, mission accomplished. Right, so the C series, the intention behind that is to get that here's something new conversion moment, and then do enough of it on a recurring basis that we can turn hopefully a few more people into Type 2s than Type 1s. It could work, but whether it does work or not is largely irrelevant, because the videos that I'm most proud of, the ones that I think like, that's good stuff in there, are the ones where I have put extra effort in, and I have gone to the time of editing it properly and adding, sound effects and music and captions and little arrows and whatever else, right? All the kind of extra jazz that I do when I put a bit more time into things. I'm more proud of those videos because they are hitting the mark in terms of the tone that I want to be reaching far more readily than my routine series. My routine series, they're a nice long narrative story of the evolution of a game being played. It's great. I really enjoy doing them. It's very relaxing to do. I find it more fun to play that way now than to play without the camera on. If I play without the camera on, you just kind of sit there going, click, wait, scroll around. Oh, what's that? But having to actually convey some enthusiasm while you're doing it actually makes me more enthusiastic about the game. So, I'm never going to cover something I actively dislike unless there's a massive paycheck involved. But for ongoing series, no, it is all about the enjoyment and continuing with that. So I'm going to start my first Type C series. I know the game I'm going to be playing already, and I could. And here's the other thing: I could probably do the entire series in one sitting, and then just chop it up. So I'd probably record, I don't know, maybe 5-6 hours of footage, and then spend a week or more putting that into a finished format. Now, the benefit of that is it means that you can then queue these up in advance. So you've got, they kind of go, well, that's 4 weeks of Saturdays just sorted right there. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with Saturdays. Saturday's a terrible day to put out videos. Just awful. Saturday's stuff has never performed well for me. Sunday stuff has never performed well for me. I do get quite a lot of viewers on Transport Fever on Saturdays, but I think that's people who go like, right, Saturday morning, let's catch up with me show, and that's fine and that's dandy. But new stuff doesn't tend to work very well. Friday is a really good day, but everybody wants Friday, which brings us on to the D series, and the D series is the means whereby if I do spot a game where I kind of go, I need to be there at inception, I need to be there on day one, in order to have a crack at getting the audience. Well, that's what the D series is for. Basically, the D series can override what happens on Saturday and on Friday. So if there is something where I need to be there right now and I need to be delivering more videos quickly, then that's what the D series is for. It's a series of it's an override scheme, if you like. Now, all of this might sound quite highfalutin and actually quite simple, but codifying the way in which you put videos together and then put them out actually makes it more straightforward to go, right, what am I recording now? Hopping randomly between games is no way to flourish. You need to be methodical, and as anyone who gives kind of advice on putting a YouTube channel together will tell you, consistency is absolutely key. People get a bit lost if I don't put out a Transport Fever on Mondays and Fridays. Right, okay, so that's their day. Soviet Republic, I'm thinking Tuesdays and Thursdays maybe, or Tuesdays and Saturdays, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm going to do more Soviet Republic than I am Transport Fever, basically because I ain't got an awful lot new to say in Transport Fever. We're revisiting territory that I have been to on many, 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 many occasions. So I'm hoping that I can create a suitable level of interest between now and when I get access to Transport Fever 2, which I would imagine if they run any kind of early access scheme, they'll have me on board. I mean, it's almost a given. Skystorm's the biggest channel that covers the game. I'm the second biggest, so that's perfectly acceptable. Now, I'm going to reboot the camera because we're coming up on that time where I have to reboot the camera. I still haven't taken the time to figure out what the 25-minute mark is, and then we'll crack on. Of course, this is totally meaningless for me to be saying this to you because, as far as you're concerned, you'll be back in the blink of an eye. For me, it's going to be a minute or two. Right, while you were away, I loaded up Notepad and I started to write some notes. Well, no, it's a total lie. I opened up Notepad and then went, nah, that's all right, I'll continue winging it. You're doing all right so far. Right, where was I? Okay, so that's the new format that I want to use on the channel is that I need to be injecting a sense of the new once in a while, hopefully weekly, to kind of put myself out there a little bit more and get a few more people interested. The engine, as spoken of before, my recurring series, keeps my minutes up, which means that new videos, new games being covered, will do pretty strongly in terms of getting recommendations by the YouTube algorithm. So it's an absolute no-brainer, and plus it keeps the whole thing fresh for me. It means that you get funnier videos, and I get to play a wider variety of things, hopefully still somewhat within the spectrum of my genre, as it were. But fundamentally, as I've got mentally written right there, you are the product, as a reminder to myself. I'm selling me, right, and my approach to things, and therefore the more means by which I can float with that, the better. So we'll see how it goes. It might be subject to further revision later on. In fact, everything's always subject to further revision later on. But I've got no intention of moving away from my core of here is a very long series that you can come back to week after week after week and keep up with progress. Because I like the format, and it seems to resonate really nicely with people who have stuck with me and who do watch stuff. So I would be foolish to kind of radically change tack. Now, in terms of radically changing tack, some of you will have seen me do YouTube stories while I was overseas, and I thought it was quite good and quite bad at the same time. The 30-second video approach, well, that's not me, is it? I mean, crikey, a Scale About videos are supposed to be 3 minutes in length maximum. I've yet to do one that has come in below kind of 8-9 minutes because I'm chatty. It's what I do. So I don't know. Vlogging. Well, that's what this is. Vlogging might be something that I actually move into. I had a notion to do it at the start of the year, actually. I cleared a space out that isn't here to kind of start a lifestyle-y something. I don't know what. Musings of the older gentleman. I'm not that much older, but I'm getting older, and that's only going to continue. So yeah, I've kicked the tires on it before, and certainly when I'm on form, I can deliver quite a good fun bit to camera, like this. This one isn't though. This is rubbish. I'm all over the place. This is why I write notes. It's to keep me flipping focused. So yeah, vlogging is something I've considered, but that's as far radical as I'm ever likely to go. And I'm still kicking it around, but I probably won't do anything about it in the near future because I got enough going on as it is. Right, from there, now, do I want to get on to the next topic, or do I need to finish off? Otherwise, I'll end up coming back again and rebooting my thought process. Hold on, give me a tick. I'm gonna work this one through. We talked about series, we talked about ABCD, and and the opportunity to do different games and keep them interesting. And so I think that the extra time that I have available to me is going to be consumed with firstly recording more footage, and then editing that footage down and adding a veneer of presentation. Ooh, yeah, that's definitely the veneer hand signal. A veneer of presentation, a presentation veneer over the top of it, in order to make it a little bit more punchy and a little bit more, I don't know, I'd say commercial, but it's the wrong word. It just a little bit more suited to those whose attention is maybe not quite as ready to soak up a longer form piece of video, let's say. Right, moving on. So, yeah, I'm going to be coming backwards. I can feel it. Moving on. So the other major thing that I'm working on at the moment is not Fail Brigade. Fail Brigade has been pushed back now because I've got 3 things in the empire of me that I am working on. Now, the empire of me is, I came up with that just now, but it's kind of my aspiration towards setting up my own company that has staff. I've had my own companies in the past, but the staff has just been me. Eventually, I want to get to the point where I've got a company that has other people than me just working there. This doesn't mean that I'm necessarily the big boss, but obviously I'm going to be kind of, originating quite a bit of this stuff. Now, Fail Brigade, encapsulated, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is going to have a different title because the name of it is wrong. It's just quite a nice. It's quite nice to as a kind of a headline for it for the time being. Basically, it is multiplayer with good people. There you go. Well, it's multiplayer with good people and a subscription fee. There, that's what Fail Brigade is. It's a good idea. It's well thought out. There's more to it than that, but that's one of the pillars of this kind of project that I'm working on. The first pillar, of course, is this YouTube behavior that I get up to right now. And the pillars kind of lean on one another in a tripod kind of a sense. But the YouTube pillar is the one that has the most ability to kind of drive things forward in the short term, because I do have an audience, and therefore I can bring to their attention other things that are going on. So I've moved Fail Brigade and the development and work going on that, and mad props to Urban Darkness, who's been doing some, quite a bit of development work on the website for that, along with those of you who've jumped in and given it a bit of a test for now. None of that's wasted, but we're just moving it into 3rd place. In 2nd place is something else you've already heard of, which is Mirror State. So Mirror State is, for those of you who haven't heard of it before, think of it originally as it's what they call a mega game. And a mega game is basically a big board game played by 50 plus people at the same time. And the board is not really that big a part of the game. In fact, I've run several that have no board whatsoever. So you work with, you're part of a team of people who take on a function rather than a character. So the first game that we ran was one of the more famous ones, called Watch the Skies, which is basically an XCOM style scenario where aliens have turned up, but it's unclear as to whether they're hostile, whether they're friendly, what their intentions are. And all of the individual teams represent different countries in the world. And then you've got one team over there who represents the aliens, and there's a lot of negotiation, and there's some military action and all of that kind of thing. That's the one that really kind of broke mega games into being a big thing. Except it's not. It's not a big thing at all. I suspect the number of people in the UK who are active mega game players, by which they will play maybe one a year, is under 1,000. This is not a market. No, it's not a market at all. This is not something through which one can flourish, unless you're selling your tickets for £100 a pop. You're running them every weekend, and you've got the same 50 people want to come along every weekend. Well, that's not going to happen, is it? So Me working with a couple of other people, some of whom you may be familiar with, we developed our own game, and we've run that about a dozen times now, I think, and it's pretty successful. It's pretty good. The problem with it is it's just not sustainable. Now, at the start of this year, we advertised our new game, which was Mirror State Underground, the scenario for you. The zombie apocalypse has happened. It has wiped out pretty much everybody, and you're one of a band of survivors who are in the London Underground. And you've got to get the trains running so you can move around through the underground. You've got to scavenge for supplies, all of that kind of business. And there is the ever-present threat of zombies from above. We've done. Oh, hold on, I'll show you some of the stuff. I've got some stuff here. Yeah, this is totally irrelevant, of course, because I'm about to change tack. But here's some stuff. Here we go. Stuff, right? So these are the. I'm rather pleased with the styling here. Let's put this so it's somewhat in focus. But yeah, it's like, you've got details on what's going on in different places that you're at and all of that kind of business. Professional. So we did all the development work of that, and the goal that we had was that we would run it multiple times over the course of the year, because typically a mega game is a one-shot affair, is that you play it once and chuck it all away. We went, no, that's a lot of work to put into something that you chuck away. Let's run it multiple times. Anyway, we went out hard and fast, and our marketing wasn't on point, which is, I have to hang my head in shame because I've got a bit of a marketing background. Marketing wasn't on point, and as a result, we had interest in very few tickets indeed. And it caused us to go through a period of introspection in kind of February and go like, are we just wasting our time? We know we're making good stuff, but we know that the market isn't there. The groups that are successful tend to have a contained audience who are playing every one of those games. To which I went, well, I've got a contained audience. I've already got one. The problem is they're all over the world. And I mean, that's not necessarily a problem. That's also a strength. But how do you run an event in a hotel for people where some of them are in Australia, whereas others are on the west half of flipping Canada? That's not going to work. So we moved into the development of a digital mega game. Yes. We're working on a mega game that can be played anywhere in the world at the same time with people who are elsewhere in the world. And now, your typical mega game runs for like 6 to 8 hours. I mean, that's way too long. So we're coming up with a chapter-based take on the same game. And the team of people you'll be working with will be in your front room, or they'll be in your own personal computer treehouse or wherever it is. And one of you might be using a mobile phone, one of you will be watching the TV that is showing stuff, one of you will be using the app that we're developing to allow you to do controls. Someone else will be on Discord chatting to other teams to try and negotiate stuff. This is what we're working on. And it's going to be coming fairly soon, or at least the test version is going to be coming fairly soon. The live version will be appearing later on this year, but in the first instance, we're creating a simulated version where anywhere between kind of 1 and 3 people can play it at a time. And it simulates having other teams in existence, because we want to make sure that the core mechanics of playing this game are fun, or at least stimulating. Right? Fun is what you make. Some people, I count myself among them, can derive quite a lot of fun by taking a big data set of numbers, feeding it into Excel, and then scrutinizing them and getting them to do a little dance and look for the patterns that form within that. And you kind of go, yeah, see, I'll do that for fun. That's entertaining to me. For other people, that would just be like, oh, just shoot me. So fun is always subjective, but we want to test that out with as many different groups of people as possible. And that's where you come in. There's no charge, absolutely free. And when the time comes, I'll put up a yes, I'd like to play, please. In the test version. That's test version 1. Hot on the heels of that will be test version 2, after we've made sure our core mechanics are kind of fun-ish. because they're only the core mechanics. They are what we call the moment-to-moment gameplay, which is if you think about it in the sense of an adventure game, right? In the sense of an action adventure game, so an Uncharted or a Tomb Raider or something like that. Your moment-to-moment gameplay is moving through the environment, opening stuff that's on the side, and occasionally fighting a bad guy, right? That's moment-to-moment gameplay, and our moment-to-moment is it's a little bit more Tycoon than it is Lara Croft, but that's what we want to make sure, that it works fluidly, that there is. No, I'm not going to tell you anymore, actually, because it will possibly prejudice those of you who... No, but it will prejudice the response that those of you who come and test it actually have, is telling you what we're trying to accomplish with it. So that's going to come up within the next month. Fingers crossed. I've actually got a conference call on that in the next 15 minutes, so I better wrap this up. We think it's going to be a great deal of fun. Now, the other side of that is that you'll also be able to watch it. So not only will you be able to join in and play the game, and being run digitally means that all of a sudden we can move from 50 to 100 players in a game to 1,000 players in a game to 10,000 players in a game. It all comes down to how well we staff that up and make sure that everybody is fully engaged with the experience. Don't worry about that. Right, so testing coming up for that soon. But we'll also offer a viewing experience, so you can actually watch the games being played as they're being played, and we've got quite a good scheme for how that's going to work. More news on that next month, because it is the pillar that is using up my 2 kind of action days that I get each week. So that's that. There was one more thing there, I'm sure of it. No, there isn't. But the reason this is the second pillar, and this all comes down to leverage, right? So the fact that I do have a recurring audience means I can leverage that audience into building an initial player and viewer base for Mirror State. And then if I can build that up to be somewhat successful, then I can then leverage that experience into kind of building the foundation point for Fail Brigade, or whatever that becomes known as, while at the same time still leveraging the audience who I already have, the Discord crowd of Bad Company, who are constantly talking games and arranging games between one another. I want to do that, but bigger and formalized, and hopefully a lot more fun. The biggest strength that we have in that crowd at the moment is the standards of behavior and the standards of humor as well. You don't want to play with someone who's just going to make your game miserable. We don't have anyone like that, not even slightly. And part of that is due to the nature of UChaps, but the nature of UChaps is as a result of me acting as kind of an attraction force to that. Now, this is not me blowing my own trumpet. I've got a career that's built on having players who are well behaved and see the fun in most situations, and therefore I think it's only natural that the persona that I have when I'm online, which is it's pretty similar to how I am in the real world. It attracts people of a like-minded nature, and that's kind of why it works. Plus, I've been an internet policeman for 20 years, and therefore, if anybody does get a little bit rowdy, I go in and read them the riot act. So there you go. So there's that. There was another point, and it flitted through my mind, and then flitted out the other side again. Good. Right. Yeah. So there's that. There really was another point. There was definitely another point that I had just then, and it's kind of disappeared. No idea. So keep your ear to the ground for that. The more, the merrier, frankly, in terms of people to come and give it a test. And if you've got a significant other who is aware of my presence because you listen to my videos occasionally and they tolerate it, they are more than welcome to be part of that test as well. Because one of the things we want to test is having 2 or 3 people in one room trying the thing out. It's not complicated. You're not going to need to be button mashing. If you can navigate your way around a website, you can play this game. It's a simple... I've remembered. Okay, now, and as part of the lead up to that, I'm going to be running a tabletop role-playing game on video in the nearest future. I'm not going to tell you which game it is. Some of you can probably guess which tabletop role-playing game it's going to be. But I've got a concept that I want to try out, and I'm going to run it as one of my C series. I think it's interesting, and I think it could work really well. I've done a lot of game mastering of tabletop stuff, and it should be a lot of fun. If you're interested in taking part in that, stick a note below. But I'm going to try and recruit people as much as I am going to look for volunteers. But in the event that volunteers are what I've got, then that saves me a job. So yeah, doing it that way might work. And I think Stegs is going to play because it doesn't interfere with his contract. Right, good. There you go. That's what's going on. It's quite a lot, isn't it? Yeah, and it's going to stay that way because I have a restless mind and it never completely sits still. But I'm driving towards the 50k mark. I will be so pleased when I hit 50k. 40,000 is right around the corner, and alongside that, I'm opening the store. The store is pretty much ready. I can summon the couple of hours it's going to take to actually launch the thing. So the store will be coming back if stuff that's in a store is something that you might be down for. Anyway, I've been Colonel Failure. Thank you very much for your support. Motorsport Manager is coming to the end of the series, and then we're going to play something else. You know what? Here is as good a place as any. Bang a comment below as to what you want to see after Motorsport Manager. I'm not cancelling it forever, but I've done 3 series back to back now, and as much as we're always close to, will we be glorious this year? No, I've screwed the finances right up. So what I want to hear from you is, while I give that a bit of a breather, what do you want to see for a series? It could be anything you like. Something I have played before, something I haven't played before. It's entirely up to you. Your opinions below. If there are several that get multiple votes, or people going yes this, or I spot something that makes me go, oh yeah, that'd be good, then I'll stick those front runners into a poll, and I'll give you the chance to vote on them. Anyway, thanks for the support, gang. It really is very much appreciated, and hopefully pretty soon, I'll be able to do this more frequently. I was about to wave my hands around the room and do it. I said, do it here. I said, and in other news, it looks likely that we're moving again. Oh, dearie me. Well, anyway, I move regularly enough, and it looks like one of the places that we're moving to, I will have my own personal private bunker. That'll be good. Right, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Cheerio.